Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today's lecture is in context of a merger of the ex-FATA region into the mainland of Pakistan. I am very happy to interact with the younger generation because mainly 75% of the population in Pakistan consists of younger generation. Our younger generation is mainly meant as a change agent. So when I talk to the younger generation, I want to make some changes in the society of Pakistan, in the overall structure of Pakistan, and even other things also. So now coming back to the main topic, that is merger of ex-FATA region. First I will introduce this area in the background, given background to this area. This area is mainly consists of a bordering area between Pakistan and Afghanistan, divided by Durand line. Mainly the tribal people are living there with certain traditions, conventions that are ruling this area. Previously, before even partition and particularly after partition, this area was regulated by frontier control regulations, but it was very atrocious. So finally it has given some spaces to the terrorists and drug barons. I can call it a grey area that was lying between Pakistan and Afghanistan. So these people are also inhabiting the other side of the Durand line, meaning thereby that this is a patch of the people that is living on the either side of the Durand line in Afghanistan and in Pakistan, mainly regulated by these conventions and traditions, and it has given rise to the terrorism and the narcotics peddling. Finally, we have seen in the past that this area has given rise to the terrorism because of loose spaces, because of the grey area. The governance was not so good and mainly governed by the tribal leaders. So that's why these spaces were governed by the non-state actors, that is terrorists and this narcotics dealers. So finally the state of Pakistan consists of mainly the Supreme Court, armed forces and the parliament. They have decided to merge these grey areas into the mainland of Pakistan. What do you mean by the merger of these areas into the mainland of Pakistan? I will call it only the enforcement of the fundamental rights in these areas enshrined in the Constitution of Pakistan. All the regular laws that has been extended to these areas, replacing any convention, any tradition of these areas. These fundamental rights are enforced through two instruments of the law. One is a police and another is a judiciary. That is judicial law, that is constitution, and the police law has been extended in these areas, meaning thereby that they will be treated equally at par with the people of rest of the Pakistan, and the constitution has been extended into these areas. So now I will particularly talk about what the police is doing there. These areas were mainly regulating the policing functions in case of levies and khasadars. This was a tribal force headed by tribal leaders and even consist of tribal people selected and picked up by the tribal leaders, but it was lacking the training and the capacity. These approximately the 29,000 people, they have been absorbed into the regular police, and they are being given an training, and those capacity deficits are being removed, which were prevalent in the past. And now we are also, besides these absorption and the training programs to the ex-levies and ex-Khasadars, erstwhile levies and Khasadars, we are this embarking upon the recruitment process. Newly youth will be recruited into the police, and then after that recruitment there will be a new phase of these areas. Judiciary has been extended into these areas. Session judges are being placed there. High Court is taking a cognizance of a situation there. Even a jurisdiction of the Supreme Court has been extended to these areas. So these fundamental rights which were enshrined into the Constitution of Pakistan, particularly dignity of a man, honor of a man, freedom of speech, so many these human rights and fundamental rights which were denied to these people in these areas since so many years in the past, they have been restored, and they are being enforced through the instrument of the state, that is the police and this judiciary. This means that supposedly anybody thinks that police is not performing a function, judiciary is not performing a function, or organ of the state are not properly functioning and delivering, they have a recourse to the judicial forums according to the Article 199, that government functionaries are supposed to do, ought to do these things, and they will be ordered by the judiciary to do what they are ought to do in context of public delivery. So these are very, this is some sort of a revolution that these people were liberated, I think. Though the land was liberated in 47, but the people were liberated through this merger. So let us see what will happen in the next years. The second part is a developmental part. We have absorbed these people, we have given a training to these people, and we are establishing the police stations there. Though the infrastructure is not so good, but the government has allocated money, budget, despite the fact that financial health of government is not good because of pandemic, this corona pandemic. So still government has allocated the budget to police department to have some sort of a development in these areas. And we have started of registration and FIR, Roznam charge or case diaries are being written, people are being arrested, and judiciary is doing its function of arbitration, adjudicating the cases, either convicting the people or acquitting the people. So, but this is the initial phase of this merger. Though it will take some time that for the completion and for the realization of these fundamental rights to the people of that area. But we are very hopeful. It's a very success story that rest of the Pakistan is ready to hug these people, to kiss these people, that they should be brought at par with the rest of Pakistan's citizens, that they should realize their fundamental rights according to the Constitution of Pakistan. But there is another challenge that we are facing, or the people or the nation of Pakistan will face, is this use and proliferation of this social media. Social media has a very good implications, connotations, but there are negatives attached to it also. We are living in a post-truth era. Post-truth era means that everything is being regulated, behavior is regulated by the emotions rather than facts and factual positions. So there are so many prejudices, biases in a society. So it may influence the behavior and conduct of the people. So we have to be very careful, particularly of a youth which is using this social media to the possible maximum extent. So we have to see through this spectrum also, that we should not be carried away by the emotions, by this post-truth arenas dynamics. We should analyze the things on facts and factual positions. So that is very important. Connected to this post-truth period and the use of social media, we are facing the challenge of this fifth generation warfare. Fifth generation warfare, in a very nutshell, means that you propagate the lies to the people, and people will be made to believe the lies to be truth. So that is a very serious thing. It may be in any sphere of the society. So we have to be very careful with this fifth generation warfare. We have to think through the things. We have to analyze the things and then make some decisions. You people must trust the law enforcement. If anybody has a grievance, legitimate grievance, he can have a recourse to the judiciary. So these are the very fundamental principal ingredients of this merger, that we are going to enforce it in future. Thank you very much.